Following the exercise on the live sheep, we built up some expertise and a couple of blokes, and so I said, well, what do you think we should do? Why don't we set up our own company? And we did. Set up a company called Australian North African. And a guy told us, he said, oh, the Libyans are looking for stock. So we got a guy who had some access into Libya to start doing some work for us over there. Anyway, long story short, got to the stage where we found out they had a contract they wanted to go through. I went over there and talked to the Minister for Agriculture, and we got on very well. He's a very nice man, and they were interested in it, the whole bit. But you know, Gaddafi had to tick off on it because it was 5,000 head of cattle. It was over a $10 million deal, and so anything like that had to sort of get his to approve. So I had to go and meet Gaddafi. So I was having a meeting in Tunisia with the world farmers, and then I went across to Libya to meet him. So I'm having a meeting with the Minister for Agriculture, and Gaddafi's blokes just charged through the door. Where's Mr. Blight? Mr. Blight? Yeah, no introduction, no beg your pardons or anything else, just Gaddafi's security guys. Boom. So we get in the car, he takes me down to his tent, his famous tent. So I'm sitting there waiting and waiting. Now that afternoon I had to get on a ferry out of Tripoli to Malta, because the next day I had to fly to Geneva for some trade talks. And so I had to go, couldn't miss the ferry. And I said to the guy, look, you know, I've got to catch this ferry. He said, yes, that's fine. So I'm looking at the watch, I said, look, I have got to go. I can't miss that ferry. And this guy said, Mr. Blight, please understand, that ferry is not going to leave until you're on it. And I said, really? He said, oh yes, Gaddafi just told him to stay there. He told the harbour master that the ship's not going to leave until you're on it. So we went through the exercise. He and I met for about an hour. He had an amazing amount of intelligence on me. It was just unbelievable. And so we got on very well together. And from that time on, the contract just went ahead. But when we got to the ship, we drove down and big black Mercedes cars, and they all pull up the side of the boat. By this time, everyone's hanging over the side of the boat because it's 2 hours late. And that night when we got on board, when we walked through the ship, everyone just parted like that, because they didn't know who I was. But whoever I was a bloody important man, because the ship had been held up for 2 hours for me. And my stock bloke who was with me, was a bit of a character, he said, geez, you know, bloody, he said, if all these blokes knew that you were a broken down old rice farmer from Leeton, he said, they'd be a bit shocked, wouldn't they? I said, well, they would, so don't you tell them. But anyway, so that's when I met him the first time. And the second time I met him, we got halfway through the contract, and they'd given us a very bad health protocol, and too many cattle were aborting on the ship. And the trouble is, they'd given us a health protocol out of a 1949 veterinary book.
Okay, so more than half a century out of date.
Oh, yes, that's exactly right. And half the chemicals weren't available and all this sort of stuff. And I wanted to change it. And they said, well, we're not changing. And I said, well, I'm going to cancel the contract. You can't cancel the contract, it's government contracts. I said, I don't give a stuff what it is. I'm not going to see cattle treated like this. Anyway, we argued backwards and forwards. In the end, I rang my contact up and said, I want to see Gaddafi. So we go there, car picks me up with the Foreign Affairs Minister. And we drive out over the sandhills through the desert. Night time, no lights. Bedouin driving, just sees it all. Amazing. Drive out there, and you come to his big caravan, whole bit with big tyres on it so we can get over the sand. We had a meal there, and then we go and see Gaddafi. 3 old deck chairs, theatre chairs, on a bit of old rug on the sand. We sat there and we talked for hours. One funny incident. We're sitting there, the phone goes. I'm going, what's the phone? Anyway, this bloke comes in and just out there in front of us and scrapes all this sand away, puts it down and picks up the phone and starts talking on the phone. And, it was like Maxwell Smart. And finishes his conversation, puts the phone down, and covers it all over with sand again. We're out in the middle of the desert, there's not a soul in sight except a few guards walking around, a couple of camels, and it was circus. But the most extraordinary thing about that meeting was that Gaddafi went through this exercise of telling me that he was going to join the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. He isolated himself, that he hadn't done the right thing by his people, that Libyan people deserved to be involved with the rest of the world, as well as the rest of the people, and he was going to make an effort to go and talk to people around the world and let them know that he was coming in. He said, I have appointed 5 people to be my emissaries, to spread that message for me. And you are one of them. Well, I didn't know what to say. And he said, we have an enormous amount of respect for you. You are well received in the highest circles of the UN and governments around the world. And he said, I've done a lot of research on you. And he said, I want you to be one of my emissaries to tell the world that I want to come in from the cold. Mm-hmm. Well, what could I say? Because I wanted him to fix up this contract. And I said, well, if you are really genuine about this, and I said, I've got no reason to think you're not, then okay, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't know how many people you meet. He said, you meet a lot of people that would be interested in this. I said, okay. He said, now, what about this contract? Told him. I said, I'm having trouble with your committee that's handling this. They won't let me use the latest technology and to look after these cattle. I'm very concerned about the treatment, and quite frankly, I'm prepared to stop the contract unless we can do this properly. He said, Mr. Blight, you know more about this than my committee. Now you go and tell them tomorrow, if they won't do it the way that you want to do it, you tell them to ring me. And I went, oh, okay, good. Anyway, off we went. Going back in the car with the Minister for Foreign Affairs, he said, Mr. Blight, you don't realise this, but you are in an extraordinary position. I said, why? He said, you are one of the very, very few people who get treated like this by Gaddafi. He likes you. Mm-hmm. My son always said, you ever go to Libya, go with Dad. And anyway, next morning I was getting ready to go to the meeting. I'm walking out of the hotel, the phone goes, Blake runs over, said, Mr. Blight, the Prime Minister's on the phone. Okay, so I get on the phone and talk to the Libyan Prime Minister. And he's the bloke I signed the contract with originally, when he was the Minister for Agriculture. And I said, you're having trouble with my committee? I said, yes, I am. He said, well, listen, he said, you know more about this business than they do. You tell them how you want to do it, and if they don't want to do it your way, you tell them to ring me. Mm-hmm. So I go into the meeting with the Prime Minister and Gaddafi. So it was fixed. So I went around and talked to some people. The first person I talked to was actually Douglas Hurd, mm-hmm. who was the British Foreign Affairs Minister. And it was in Canberra. And it was just before he was retiring. And he was doing a bit of a tour around, and the British ambassador rang me up and said, Graham, he said, we're having a small dinner of 8 for Douglas Hurd. And I said, oh, really? He said, oh, we'd like you to come and join us. Oh, I said, that's very nice. So I go down the embassy, and I thought, well, I'll try my emissary skills on Hurd. I told him, I said, well, I've been talking with Gaddafi. What are you talking to him for? He's a terrorist. I said, oh, well, we do business there. What do you do business with them for? I said, well, you do. He said, we don't do business with them. I said, Douglas, I know what goes on there. I said, and you're doing business there. No, I don't tell anybody you are, but you are. Mm-hmm. Oh, well. Anyway, I said, the message is he wants to come in from the cold. You'll be one of the first people he'll ring and talk to. He said, and why would he ring us? I said, well, you educated him, because he went to Sandhurst. Mm-hmm. Oh. But I said, he's really serious about it, and I personally think it'll be a good thing for him and for generally the world if he did it. He said, oh well, he said, if he behaves himself and then he said, I suppose that's right. So eventually, of course, he was doing it. He took his tip to Rome and then he took it to the United Nations and what have you. Interesting man. I actually quite liked him.
So what did you feel when he was killed?
Well, that was interesting because a lot of my mates said to me, oh, well, Gaddafi will be on the first jet out of there. I said, Gaddafi will never leave Libya. He'll either win this or he'll die there. Oh, no, he's a dictator. He's always looked after himself. I said, no. Gaddafi is there for his people. And my bet is that if he can't win it, they'll kill him. And that's what they did. He wouldn't leave. But anyway, of course, look at Libya now. It's just a mess.
Yeah, like a lot of the Middle East.
Yes. So, yeah, but they were interesting days. I mean, that was a very interesting thing to be walking around Libya. I always used to feel safer in Tripoli than I did in Rome.
Really?
Oh, yes. There's no mucking around in that city. I mean, even down to their... if a bloke leaves a wife, leaves his wife, kids, and goes off and hasn't organised a proper separation and all that sort of thing, the police hunt him down and bring him back. And you sit down there and work this out. They don't run around getting court orders and all this sort of thing. The police just come and pick you up and take you home and get you to fix it up. Family's very important.